Hello. Welcome back to the Quiet Craft Club. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, you can see way more of my setup than I realized. That's trash. It's like it is trash, but it's for making my eco brick. So it's like trash that is going to be useful at some point is going to be made into something else. But okay, you can see my little cozy setup, my vitamins. This has been my workspace for the last little bit. A newfound space for me. So I thought that I would be here today for you guys. And today we are doing something a little bit more serious than maybe we have done in the Quiet Craft Club before, which is I am going to teach a new skill in this live. So I kind of figured that what will happen with Quiet Craft Club is I will kind of just cycle through skills that like build on each other and then start over at some point, and then people can go watch the past lives if they want to try to learn along with those, and then they can come into the current lives and ask questions if they have them. So that's kind of my idea for how this will work. I will at some point do an actual YouTube video that just lives on my channel of this skill. It's next on my list. I thought I was going to have it done by now, but I don't. So there's that. And so, yeah, we're going to learn. Oh, shoot. Oh, okay. I have at least one little example. We're going to learn how to make these little keychains. Really, we're going to learn how to do the square knot, and we're going to learn how to do this invisible knot. And we're going to learn how to do a spiral knot, too. But I did not think to get any examples for some reason. My bad. We'll have one here soon enough. So the only things that you need to make this in some form, it doesn't have to be a keychain, it can just be like, and if you're just trying to practice or learn, all you really need is 2 pieces of some sort of string or like fiber. This is t-shirt yarn because that's my specialty. And I have like a little bundle right here of just like scraps that are like so tiny. And then I also have a bunch of like pre-made little guys with t-shirt yarn. So yeah, those are just like ready to go. So I'm going to show you the start to finish process on, so dignified, on this set. And then I'm going to show the same square knot again and show you the invisible knot. And then I'm going to show you the spiral knot on one of each of these. And if I have time to do another one, I will during the live, but I'm only going to go live for like an hour. So we will see how it goes. I have a light, so the shadow is kind of intense because I wanted you to be able to see. And I have this clipboard that I'm going to clipboard these to. I might bring you closer. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll have to see how easy it seems to be able to see it. Okay, so to start, why is one of these strings longer than the other, you might ask? That's a good question. The outside strings are longer because those are the ones that we're going to be tying the knots with, whereas the inside string is just going to be like what the knots are tied onto, so it can be a little bit shorter. If you're going to switch back and forth with the colors, you want to make sure they're both of like a decent length. And I will say the biggest like science to this whole thing, to macrame, to like knot work, to this sort of fiber art that we're doing here, is understanding how long these freaking strings are supposed to be. I never know. This is like, I'm giving myself to just do a tutorial. I'm giving myself quite a bit of excess. These are the ones that I made for a class where it's like, okay, so these are the inside ones and these are the outside ones. I made for a class to teach kids. And I learned that this was not even close to enough because their knots are not very tight because they just don't quite have the dexterity down. So you'll see what I mean by that later. But it wasn't like a fail, but it was like, I learned from that they should probably be at least like this long compared to this amount. You live and you learn. Okay. So yeah, this is the longer, like I also have these in 2 different colors because that way we can see with really good distinction, like which ones are the inside and which ones are the outside. As you do it more often, you'll be able to tell with more ease that whole situation, but it's easier for practice sake to do them with two different colors. You can use yarn or something thinner than a t-shirt yarn if you'd like. I think the easiest thing to do it with is something that has good like grip and is a little bit thicker than you might think. Um, like a blanket weight yarn might is definitely going to be better than like a really thin yarn. And I'm also trying to think hemp is like a good one to use, and you can get that in all different sorts of thicknesses, and then also just like rope. You can do like these sort of knots with rope to make like bigger, chunkier knots as well. These are the things, these skills that I'm doing here are pretty much all of the skills that were used in my plant hanger, which maybe is in here. No, it's not. Man, I was failing on getting the props for this one, but that's fine. If you actually go back to my last Quiet Craft Club video, what I did in that one was go over all of my projects that I've done so far. And so that has a really good like run through of all the different things that I've done. And the plant hanger is in there in that video. So yeah, this is a very simple thing to make, the keychain, but these techniques you can make like way bigger things. This is like these are just foundational knots to know if you're getting into this sort of art form. So, okay, without further ado to me like messing with these and moving them around, the little jellyfish, we're going to tie a knot in the top of these. That's why I keep holding them like this, because we want this to stay secure on this. I'm going to take this off my keys. And this one is so dirty, but whatever. On this one, we have these two invisible knots here, and the one that we're doing is not going to look like this. But for the sake of not learning everything new right at once, we're just going to do a practice of tying just like a regular knot. So one where you just like, make the circle, put it around, stick it through the circle, and pull. I don't know what kind of knot that is. I feel like I just over-explained it a lot. Like people are going to be like, yeah, I know how to tie a knot. But just felt like I should explain in as much detail as I could. It's going to look something like that. And you want a little loop here if you were going to, because you want to be able to like hook it onto stuff. If you were making a keychain as well and you knew that you wanted to have like a ring on this part of it, like a metal ring, like you were making maybe like a lanyard or a strap for a bag or something, and you knew you wanted to have some sort of hardware right here, you could put the hardware in and then tie the knot like up way closer to it. And then it's like way more like secure. You don't have this like big loopy loop. But because I'm trying to just be able to put it on here like this, the big loopy loop is kind of nice. Okay, I am going to bring you guys closer. Let's see. We'll just go ahead and cut my face out of it. Honestly, love that. Okay, so I'm trying to think like the way that you guys are going to see it versus the way that I'm doing it. I don't think it matters like left-handed or right-handed, but maybe I'm wrong about that. And maybe that's silly of me to say or even be concerned about, but this is just how it looks from this angle because I don't have anything else for you. And I didn't think about it until just now. But okay, so we have these outside ones and these inside ones. You can also, if you want, you could tape these down. This is pretty stretchy string so that then that way those kind of stay pretty taut. That's actually not like a horrible thing to do when you're beginning because as you'll see, the sort of adjustment of the knots that you have to do is part of getting better at the skill. Okay, so we're going to do a square knot. We're going to do one that will turn out looking like this. You see how it's very square. This is the side of it. It's very like rectangle, kind of a thick rectangle. We do that by we're essentially doing a 2-part knot to make the first little square, and then we're kind of building those squares on top of each other. So we're going to do a knot starting on this side with this string, and then we're going to do a knot starting on this side with this string this way, and that's going to form our little like base of this knot. Okay. So how we do this is, I always learned that it was like one of the ways that you could start by doing it is making a 4. This is of course now a backwards 4.
But you also have to make sure that you kind of do this weaving thing where you go over the middle ones, but then under the other side when you make your 4. So this one needs to be on the outside. And then this one, the one that you just went over and then you went under, you tuck that one under the middle strings and then through this middle hole. So now you have something that looks like this, kind of floppy. Here's the top of it. Here's that. If you just pull it like this, it's going to do something like that. And you can actually just go like this and kind of pull those out, depending on what kind of string you have and like how delicate it is. So this is the part where I was talking about how it's kind of just like the finagling of the knot is what's part of the skill to this. I'm trying to figure out the best angle. Because kind of holding this steady and then doing this and pulling it tighter and pulling it tighter and pulling it up, especially because this is our first one, it's kind of tough. And that first one is always the hardest, honestly. Okay, so now we've done the first part of our knot. To finish the square, we started by putting this one over this one. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to put this one over this one. Oh, this makes a correct 4. Maybe I should have started with that one. But again, we need to go over the middle and under the outside. So now this one is flopping around on top up there. And it then also goes under the middle one and then through the big loop that's being made. So now we have this same sort of thing we had before. If this is pulled tight, if this is down here, that's why sometimes it is nice to just have this down here because then it doesn't mess up. And then when you pull it tighter, it kind of just pulls. So we're just pulling that tighter and tighter until we have that little square. And isn't that lovely? Okay, so now we're going to start, now we're going to go from the other side again. We're going to start this way and then we're going to do the one this way to make another square. So this one goes over the middle, under the other side. So it's flopping around on top, under the middle and through the loop. Looks like that. And then we tighten. I don't know if you can hear my like nails scratching around on this clipboard or not. So imagine you do a couple of these and you're like, wait, shoot. And then you like go and get a snack or something. And then you're like, wait, shoot. Which way do I start with now? You can always tell because you want to start on the same side as this little bump right here. So we're going to start on this side. We're going to go over the middle ones, under the outside one. This one's going to go under and through the loop. And then we pull it tight. And look, that finished off that little square. And see how it just continues to grow. This, I can do them really fast. It's like I have to kind of chill out for a sec. This one's on top. And then it goes under the middle ones and through the loop on the other side. And you pull it tight. I wonder if I can. Yeah, okay, cool. This is even closer. Okay, so then again, this one that you're putting over, you're making the 4. See the 4 right here? We have to make sure that the one that's crossing over is on the top. And then the other one goes underneath the middle ones and through this loop here. Oh, I was going to say, I feel like I did that wrong. What did I do wrong? Okay, made the 4. This one's on top. I felt like this was going to happen to me, that I was just going to forget everything that I know. Oh, wait, yeah, no, yeah, because that one needs to be on top. See, this is what always messes me up. Oh, my gosh. It's so funny when you have just a moment. Things that you've done a million times before, but I'm doing this like upside down and backwards. Okay. See? Oh, my dog's making noise. And yeah, if you see the way that I just did that there, it was probably a little bit different than the way I had been doing it before in terms of how I like grabbed it. Because I was trying to just go back to muscle memory. Because like my when I'm trying to teach it, it's different than when I'm just like doing it. You know what I mean? Okay. So this one goes over and under and through, and then pulled tight. Okay, and then another thing you can do with these ones is you can kind of push them up like this, depending on how you want it to look. You can kind of push it up like that. And that's how it's looking so far. Go. Okay, the one that goes over. Yeah. Oh my gosh, now I'm so self-conscious that I don't even know how to do this. I actually don't know how to do this knot. I've never done it before in my life. Just kidding. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting back to it. Okay. Let me look at this. It's doing okay. Let me get my brain back into this. Okay, this one. Yeah, it's so bizarre. I forgot that my face was cut off. Okay. Now this is looking pretty good. Okay, so then it's like, which side do we start on? Which side? This one, because of the little dent over there. You can see where this one's looped through here. That's the one above. This was the last one, the last knot that was done. This is the sort of knot that it came out with, and they're all sort of sitting with each other. I just feel like some of these look wrong. But this is the thing about t-shirt yarn, and this is like truly like the scraps of my t-shirt yarn, is that it sometimes causes funky things to happen when you're doing things. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes that causes you to have a not so perfect product in the end. And that's one of the things that's kind of annoying about it, is like you have to be really careful about how you cut it and everything to actually make it really good quality. Sorry, I'm trying to like do too many things there. I don't know if you could see my hands. Like my hands trying to do this upside down, my brain trying to form words. This is what's hard about this. And this is why I wanted to do this. And like this is the first time I'm trying to teach, like, teach this skill. And I've taught it one other time to kids and it like went okay. But I also felt like it could have gone better. Like I could have been better at explaining it. And that's why I want eventually to have people be able to ask me questions live so that I can like walk through things with it. Because it is also just like something you have to like put your brain into for a second. Unless you don't, like when I'm talking, I can do it if I like put my brain, if I don't think about I don't know how people do any of this, man. I don't know how people like act and sing and dance and do anything and say anything and go on the news, and I'm like, I can barely sometimes I feel like I can barely form words, and I guess I am literally doing a whole other thing like with my hands. And you've noticed that at this point I have just kind of been doing it. Oh, look, see. I just did it wrong. So you have to go over, under and through. I need to say it to myself. Okay, over, under, and through. Get me gentle parenting myself through it. All right, over, under, through. Under, through. See, this is why you need to have a lot of the outside color because look, it's already now to about the same length as the inside color. So you use just like a lot more of that one than the inside one, obviously. And if you look closely at this, you can see some places where the other color kind of comes through because of how chunky this is. If you have stuff that's the same color and you're doing it, then obviously you won't see anything different on the inside. Or if you want to make it like come through a little bit and have corresponding colors, these colors look a lot better in real life than they do on this live right now. It's kind of like a burnt, because this camera is trash on my computer. But this is like a burnt orange and this is like a navy blue. And I think they look good together. They were part of the plant hanger that I did. These are like the scraps from that. Okay, over, under through. I'm just going to do a few more and then I'm going to tie it off. And then I'm going to do another one. Over, under. See here? It looks like a little pretzel. And this is not at all going to be like how your hands are going to look. When I do the actual YouTube tutorial, I'll do it from above so that it's like your hands are in front of you doing the things. But yeah, for now, this is just how we're going to have to do it. So you have to say it kind of more to yourself and see what they look like at different parts. Then you're really able to like mimic along, if that makes sense. And that's why, yeah, eventually, hopefully we'll have people being able to ask their own questions and stuff so that I can explain things. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that because I want to be able to clip this all together and have it be cute. So let's take it off of there. Let's back you guys up a little bit more. And here it is. Here's our little keychainy guy. It's cute. I like it. Influencer. I need to screenshot that and make it a cover on one of my next YouTubes. Okay, maybe when I do the actual skill of this one. Okay, so at the bottom, we're just going to tie another knot like we did at the top, where we just kind of loop it around itself. And see, this is why I left a little bit of length because, like, look, this last little one, it's barely hanging on. That comes with a lot of skill and, mess ups before, knowing kind of when to stop so that you actually have enough to poke it through to tie a knot. And that's one of the reasons why the invisible knot is really nice because it can go on any amount like you'll see. Okay, so I'm just pulling that really tight. T-shirt yarn is a bit stretchier. It does have a bit more give. You have to just be aware of that if you're making a bigger project about it or if you have like a certain amount of space that you want it to be in. So yeah, that's how the bottom knot looks and the top knot. And then I'm just going to cut these off a little bit shorter. And there we have one of those done in like 22 minutes, start to finish. And really, these take me like 7 minutes or less probably if I'm just doing them like in front of me. But we're not. Okay, so this one, which one should I do? These ones are Jayhawk colors. This one's Jayhawk colors. This one's another like funky one. I think I want to do this one with the spiral because it's like the cutest. I think it'll be cute with like a little spiral. So we're going to do this one. We're going to do another square knot. And then at the bottom, we're going to do one of these invisible knots. So that's going to be the new skill that we learned this time. Let me just bring you guys closer again and I'll hook it back up. I say hook it back up as in put this back on here. I think that this is one, having a clipboard and doing like using this as like the pull against, and you can like lean it against yourself or lean it against something else is really useful with something like this. You can also attach this. I mean, you can attach it onto like, I'm trying to think of other things you could do. Like what I used to do when I was a kid is I would get a safety pin and put it through the loop and then like hook it onto a piece of like either an article of clothing, like a jean or like pants or like the couch. It's probably not good. Probably wasn't super beneficial to all of those things in my life. So I am trying to kind of think like what else could you put it on? I mean, just any sort of like some people when they make the bigger projects, they get like a clothing rack and they attach S hooks onto the clothing rack and then they use that as their thing that like has the resistance against like if you're making plant hangers and stuff pretty regularly, that's a good resource to have. And like if I was going to teach a class, that is what I would have them use if I was going to do plant hangers in a class, which would be really tough because that's like a lot of skills coming together to be able to do that. Okay, I kind of started the square knot without really saying much about it because I also think that with this knot, really until you get a few in, you can't really see how well it's like turning out. I keep having to adjust because that's who I am as a person. I'm gonna try to get more light, but like not too much light. It's hard because unlike the phone, you can't just like tap it to like try to focus it. Silence. This is like a pink. Like it's so weird how once you get closer, I guess it's just not good quality. So it's like once you get closer, it gets fuzzier. But I feel like it changes the color entirely. Okay, see, here's the thing. Is like when I watch myself try to do it on here, I always mess it up. It's like I have to do it just by like muscle memory. But it's like without seeing it. I wonder if I can get used to. Okay, this time I'm gonna try to watch it in the screen and actually do it right. Okay, there. I actually did it right. By watching it in the screen. My brain just has to get used to it. Okay. Because it's over, under, through. So when we do the spiral knot, instead of rotating back and forth which side that we start on, we're just going to pick one side and we're going to start on that side the whole time. And it will create this sort of spiral pattern. So instead of the square, like this, just the straight down square, it'll be like, it'll be spirally. You'll see in a moment. Once we, okay, yeah, over, under, through. Over, under, through. I tend to kind of almost hold it like I'm gonna tie a shoe kind of thing. Like I kind of hold both. Like I'm gonna do, like I'm saying I'm doing over, under, through, but I'm kind of doing both motions at the same time. Like when I'm really, okay, over, under, through. So like if I try to slow it down, I have to do them separate. And like, that's where the muscle memory wants to just do it like without showing anything to you guys. Because that's what makes the most sense, see? But it's all up in the way of you being able to actually see what's going on here. Over, under, through. And see, we're getting to the end of the pink pretty quick. Each knot kind of eats up more and more. I'm going to do one more knot, and then I'm going to do the invisible knot, since that's the skill that we are here to learn on this one. Okay. I don't know how well this is going to show on here. This is the string that I'm going to use. Okay, so for this one, you need another string. So it would have been nice if I had the same color that I have up here, but since this is just a practice, it doesn't really matter that much. Um, and so, okay, let's look at this a little bit more up close. So what's nice about this is like it doesn't really have, it has a little bit like where you can see the start and finish, but there's no like bulge. Like let's compare to this one. So first of all, there's a little bit more control. You don't have to, like you can put this knot wherever you want to with as little amount of space. Like this has a very small amount of space in there versus this one's pretty big. And then see how that knot is like bulging and like then this side is uneven. It's a little bit different versus this knot is kind of the same all the way around. And you can make it look even a little bit nicer than I have it looking here. I just snipped these. Like you could maybe snip these closer if you had better scissors or if you cared more. And so what happens is that, the knot is actually kind of inside of here, and that's going to make a little bit more sense in a second. So, and it just looks nicer. Like this is just bulkier, like I said. It kind of has a right side and a wrong side. And as you can see, I didn't get like, this is the right side up top, and then this is the wrong side on the bottom. And it's kind of hard to match those up with each other. Versus this, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so you start by making a U. We've got some extra up here, and we've got a long bit over here. So we make like a U or like a teardrop that has one really, really long side and one shorter side. We are going to grip this at the very top where we want the knot to start. And we're going to leave some up at the top and leave the loop at the bottom. So something that we can at least grab onto up here. That's important that we can grab onto it later. Okay, I don't know how this is going to go trying to do this in front of y'all, but essentially, so right now we have this. All these things together. We've got this long one over to the side. And what we're going to do is wrap it tightly, either way, around this one. Going to try to wrap it tightly, but without overlapping it on itself. So you can see each time I turn it around, I drop it down a little bit, and we're creating our knot. Or creating the facade of our knot, because the knot is kind of on the inside. Going around, we got to kind of make sure to scrunch it up. Go around, and you got to pull it pretty tight if you want it to be tight. And then once we have the knot as long as we want to have it, we're going to stick. You need to keep the pieces pretty taut at the bottom. We're going to stick the end through the loop at the bottom. Let that go down, and then we're going to pull the top one until that loop just disappears. You're gonna pull it pretty tight. You don't want to pull it out the top, but it's pretty hard to pull out the top. Just be careful when you do it. So then you have this one sitting, and it kind of has these two floppy sides. Oop, almost knocked over my water. And so then you just take it. And this is another thing that's nice about this one is because the knot is hidden, it's much less likely to get like disturbed and come out. And so you can just snip it at the end without having to be worried. It's like a very secure way to bind those together. So now let's back it up. Back it up. And this is our little keychain. Little cute pink keychain. I didn't, as you can see, so these are got kind of stretched apart. It looks like I didn't like push this one up. Like this one, as you saw me go along, I was like scrunching it up, and it has a little bit of space where that's shown through. But this one, I was obviously doing that less. And with different looks and different vibes, you can do, it's okay if a little bit of the middle peeks through, if that's the vibe you're trying to give. I personally like to try to keep it consistent, and this one isn't super consistent, so I'm not loving it, but it's also just a practice. I'm gonna cut those way shorter. And I feel like that really makes it kind of finished off in its little vibe. It's so cute. I'm going to take these. I'll probably take these ones that I make here to get it for people if they want to take them to use for whatever they want. For their keys or just as something to mess around with, to hold in their hand. It was literally made of trash, so if it can get new life somewhere, that's great. And I think these are still cute, even though, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like a critiquer of my own art. This one I really love because I love all the colors together. This one I like the colors a lot as well. I think it's good. It's a little bit long. It would be good as a keychain, I think, because it's like you got the whole grip. But yeah, so cute. Okay, so now with these colors, I'm gonna make a spiral knot and then also finish it off with this color of an invisible knot. Gonna bring it closer again. I like the spiral so much. I'm like so annoyed with myself that I don't have an example because I feel like you guys don't understand how cute this is about to be. Truly so cute. Okay. So sometimes, you have the ones on the outside, the ones in the middle, you got to kind of train them to go which way you want. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go over and under and through. And then wiggle it up there. You can see even me having some troubles. Okay, so this is where I sometimes have a hard time because sometimes I forget which side I started on and like having to remember to stay on that same side. Okay, so this is the side. This is the side that we're doing it on because we only want to start on that side now. So we go over and under and through. I don't know why the light wants to be so intense all of a sudden, but whatever. This one also takes like really a minute to get going. Over and under and through. This t-shirt yarn smells good. It smells like clean laundry, which is kind of funny. You also have to, like, you want to squeeze them tight, but sometimes if you squeeze too tight, it like gets a little funky looking. So that's called tension. And it's one of the really important things about fiber arts that is like kind of a second step to any skill. It's like you can do a skill, but if you can't do it at the same sort of amount of tension over and over again, you're not really going to progress. Over and under and through. And see how we're just starting on the same side every time. Okay, and eventually it's going to sort of twist around on itself. I believe that the right thing to do at that point is turn it and pull it and then start with the same side that you've been on and go over and under and through. And you just got to kind of place the knots. Play around with it. Okay, can you guys see what's happening here? Can you see how freaking cute this is? Look how freaking cute this is. Okay. Over and under and through. Starting to look good. It does you just kind of have to hold it a little bit differently. It's a little bit of a different situation than the square knot. The square knot, I feel like each time you do two of them, it like really sort of rights itself. These ones are a bit more willy-nilly. They feel a bit more willy-nilly. And as we can see, this is why this was not long enough to do for a kid's one, because that's already the same length there. This is going to have to be a short little spirally keychain, which is fine. You just also need a certain amount to like actually make it look like a spiral. But I think we've gotten to that point. Look how cute. I like for it to try to get like one full rotation. That's usually my hope, at least. But we'll see. And what's nice about doing the invisible knot is we don't have to have a ton of tail at the end. But we need to make sure to have at least some. And so yeah, like if I was making keychains, I don't know if I think I would maybe use a little bit more than this. Especially for the one that's doing the knots, because see how short this is getting? And it goes kind of fast. You get to the point, I mean, depending on what kind of fiber you're using, obviously. But at least with t-shirt yarn, Like it goes, it gets to the point where it's like, oh, yep, you're at the end. I think maybe I can get one, maybe two more into this. Maybe. Can we see how beautiful that little spiral is? And I did this one pretty tight, so you can't see any of the blue. So you only be able to see the blue at the top and the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna take it. There's that one more. I think that's gonna be it. Because we gotta put our knot in, and that's a little bit, and then we gotta have a little bit of a tail. So there's that. Look, see how in the back there that one's showing through? I can like pull that up. I can tighten it, and now it's not. So that's like when it's in the malleable stage, you want to like take advantage of that. Okay, this is much too long for my purposes, so I'm gonna cut it up. That's gonna be it. Okay, so we make a U. This is our invisible knot. We're making a U, we're placing it, and then we're gripping it where we want the knot to start, with a little bit hanging out the top and the U hanging out the bottom. Now we're going to take our longer tail and we're going to wrap it. We're going to pull it tight and we're going to wrap, and we're going to wrap around the 4 strings from the keychain, but we're going to try really hard to not wrap around, not overlap the other yellow string in the knot. Get around a few times. Let's go around one more time. This is kind of a longer one. See how it looks in the end. This is where you gotta be careful about not overlapping. And then I'm gonna stick it through the little loop-de-loop at the end there. Loop-de-loop and pull. See how it's important to keep these little tail feathers in there. Okay. Now when we pull through the top, ooh, it's tight. Okay. And then we can pull it through. You can sort of feel it in the knot. And see how hard I just had to, I don't know if you could tell how hard, it's hard enough that I was like moving the table. But there, and then you can, even if you want, you could leave that in there, but I think it looks weird. So I usually cut it off. And then let's cut all these to the same length as that other little one. And there we have it. Let me zoom you back out to get kind of a better look at it, because I feel like up close, even the camera there, if it focuses on it a little bit better. This does actually help to do the little hand thing. This one looks like a little DNA. I do think the one on the bottom is a little bit too long compared to the one on the top, like that knot. See, you can kind of see how it looks when it's a little too long. I probably should have gone 1 or maybe even 2 less times around. And you can kind of see how I mean to not overlap, because see, we can see in the middle of that completely. And inside of there, those 2 things are connected through that loop. So yeah, there's that. So cute. I kind of wish I did not do the bottom like I did. But again, this was literally made out of a t-shirt that would have gone maybe to Goodwill, to the recycling if it's lucky, maybe just into the trash if it's unlucky. So I recycled it, or reused it into something else. And something where I can teach y'all some really cool skills. So look at what I made during this time. And I am obviously very fast. I would assume that if you were doing this for the very first time, depending on how even good you are at like where your not ambidextrous, where your like hand-eye coordination is at, you might be able to have gotten like 1 done through this. So that's what my expectation would be if you were just starting out with this, that it would take you probably this entire time to get something this length, and it might not even be this like tight, if that makes sense. Because this is something that I've been doing for over a decade. I learned how to do most of these skills when I was very young, because I loved making like friendship bracelet-y things. And I had like a macrame book, and we used to have these, there used to be, and maybe there still are today, these little books called Klutz books with a K, Klutz. And they taught like different skills and most of them like art skills. And they were my absolute favorite thing. And I got some as presents when I was a kid. I used to love to do all things like fiber arts. So I've been doing this a long time and like these came out like pretty meh. I like this one. And I'm not trying to say these are meh to like be rude or to not like have like they're cool. They're cool. Somebody will like them. But for my own personal usage, I would maybe use this for something, some sort of handle on something. But I don't have any need for something that like that. But maybe you do. I do like the one that I have on my keys. It's what I tend to sort of like if I can grab the keys in my bag, that's often what I end up grabbing it by is this. It just happens to like be ready to do. And you could also make a wristlet like this. And you can put however many strings you want into an invisible knot. So if you were going to make a wristlet, I would advise like clamping it at the top, but maybe not even tying a knot and then having both ends and then just doing the invisible knot like that. And then you have a little wrist thing that you could put on. Obviously this one's not long enough for that. Or you can make a lanyard. I made a lanyard. If you watch that video, The Last Craft Club, you'll see the lanyard in that as well. And that was the first time I ever made one. So it's a bit of like a prototype. And it turned out, like I had my qualms. I always have my critiques of myself for every single thing that I do. And if that's an attitude that you can't get behind, that's totally understandable. But for me personally, like I like to look at the things that I make and say, what could I do better? And what did I do really well? And that sort of thing. So to me, like if I was critiquing these as pieces of art that I've just created, I would say these colors are the best together. And this overall aesthetic of this one is more my aesthetic. I think this one is cute. I wish that it wasn't so long in the bottom, but I could see somebody enjoying this and being like, ooh, KU colors. Like I know some people in my life that might, if they were going to get a keychain, they might get KU colors. This one fully looks like a little practice sort of reject, which is fair because that's what it was. And that's what we were doing is practicing. I also feel like I cut it a little short at the bottom for how long this is. Like, I feel like proportionally that just needed to be like a little bit longer. Same as this one needed to be like a little bit shorter. Like if that was just like a little bit shorter, that would be cute. And yeah, if these were a little bit longer. So those are the critiques that I will give myself. And I could probably whip one more of these out on my clipboard because I'm a little bit early to being done. It's about 7:50, but your girl's tired, and I think that cutting out 10 minutes early is totally okay in this sense. So I forgot to mention this before, but shoot, sorry, I just looked at my list and totally lost my train of thought because I meant to tell you earlier about all the supplies that you need and include scissors in that because you saw me using scissors a few times and I totally forgot. But okay, I forgot to mention this at the beginning as well. A couple of logistical things. One is that I have now moved Quiet Craft Club to once a month on every first Thursday of the month. I'm hoping to do this once a month, like indefinitely, like for years if possible. So, if you're looking back at this and it's a long time in the future from when I've created it, or if it's, next week, I want these to be able to live in perpetuity, but also like work to develop skills like in a cycle, like I said before. So we did this time. I'll probably do this again next month, the same sort of thing. The t-shirt yarn, if you go watch my other previous ones, I have stuff about making t-shirt yarn. I'm due for another episode just doing that on the Quiet Craft Club. So it's also a place to like, if you wanted to get to know me more, you could come in live and ask questions and do all of that. Or I try to like give you a little bit more glimpse into my personality. Eventually I do have hopes that maybe we could, up virtually and do like a little bit maybe of me going through what I'm working on right now or teaching a skill. And then also possibly watching something together live that, maybe people could vote on or whatever.
I have a lot of goals for this, but it's really just getting started, and I'm really excited that you're here. If you're watching this video, like, props to you. You're diving deep or you're going back to the beginning, and that is totally cool. I do also just must mention my Patreon channel. So if you want to support me monetarily and really support my nonprofit organization, Get It monetarily, head on over to patreon.com/MeganHD, MEGANHD. And we have tiers starting at $2 a month that get you access to every video that we've ever made. There's over a year worth of content on there. So there's quite a few videos. I have also been doing a thing where at the end of each month I give a shout out to all of my new patrons for that month, and then I do a little bit of a tarot reading for the coming month. I'm about to post the one for November, like the October thanks November tarot, and that's like a fun thing too because if you sign up, you will get a shout out in the next one of that. So I hope to, see you around the online community. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.